I'm from Brookline, Massachusetts, but I was technically born in a hospital in Cambridge, Massachusetts. So now you have a critical answer to many of my internet security questions. And as this book is about being honest with you, for once, I will also tell you that my mother's maiden name was Callahan. So enjoy my Amazon Prime account and all my money. But while both of these places, Brookline and Cambridge, are in the East, I've spent most of my adult life living part-time in the rural west of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This region is called, plausibly, Western Massachusetts, and more specifically the Pioneer Valley, which follows the Connecticut River north from Springfield and up to just south of the Vermont border. It's not a resort destination like the Berkshire Mountains, but instead it's the western edge of what amounts to Massachusetts flyover country. The hills are beautiful, but not breathtaking, and medium-sized. They're crossed with little rivers and dotted with dead mills and foundries, and home to some little towns that are still thriving, and others where not one but both of the village churches are for sale and have been for years. Route 2, heading west to Williamstown, is a scenic route called the Mohawk Trail, a former Native American trade route, and if you have a desire to see Mohawk junk souvenir shops of questionable taste and authenticity, you have your choice between the one with the giant teepee that is maybe still open, and the rest that have been closed and abandoned for my whole life. The valley is more fertile, home to a clutch of liberal arts colleges and rich plains of good land. The primary crop is tobacco. They grow it for two reasons: to sell as cigar wrappers, and to prove that every cliché you think you know about the North and South is probably wrong. There are also small family farms raising corn and grazing sheep and cattle. Some young utopians are growing incredible biodynamic lettuces, or roasting coffee, or brewing kombucha. Other young utopians are opening hopeful restaurants featuring these local ingredients and offering artisanal cocktail programs, trying to latch on to the farm-to-table movement, the latest attempt to rescue the region from the death of small American manufacture and the opioid epidemic. These enterprises should be supported, since the food is really good, and most Boston foodies are still skipping Western Massachusetts for Portland, Maine. When Anthony Bourdain came to Greenfield, the Franklin County seat, to film an episode of Parts Unknown, local restaurateurs relished a chance to show off their wares and maybe enjoy a huge Guy Fieri-like post-Bourdain boom. But instead, Anthony Bourdain spent most of his time talking about the town's heartbreaking addiction to heroin. To me, the image of the Pioneer Valley is 3 emu eggs nestled in a basket at the Whole Foods down by the colleges. Somebody, either a back-to-the-land liberal pioneer or a back-to-the-wall local hoping to keep his farm, had put his money into emu ranching. Emu was the meat of the future back in the 1990s. But then the emu bubble, a real thing, burst, leaving some poor soul with a flock of 6-foot-tall sub-ostrich neo-dinosaurs with bad tempers and open head holes for ears, and they couldn't be sold and were now just leaving their eggs all over the place. Emu eggs are mutant, Dr. Seussian-looking things, the size of a candlepin bowling ball with a shell that is a surreal deep blue-green. The produce guy at Whole Foods told me that a single egg will make an omelet that will serve 8 people. And with every word of that sentence, I got progressively closer to barfing. Those 3 eggs in a basket at Whole Foods spoke the words of the Pioneer Valley into my own ear holes. They said, "We are desperate dreamers, and we will try anything to survive." I don't know if anyone bought the emu eggs. I've never seen them in there again. Soon after I left for college, my mother and father bought a house here, just south of Vermont, in a very small town that I will not name for fear of you. It is not a fancy house. My mom wanted something on one of the little rivers that trickle through the hill towns, but those are hard to come by, as construction near the river is banned now, and the housing stock that remains sometimes gets washed away. So she settled on this house, a 1979 ranch home designed by an engineer instead of an architect, which means the one bathroom faces directly into the living room. It sits on the shady side of a hill in a sparsely populated rural community that advertises itself as a right-to-farm town on its sign, which means that if you smell manure, you're not allowed to complain about it. The house was inexpensive. It didn't sit on a river, but there was a sluggish brook, which quickly turned into a mosquito bog once the beavers got at it. It was my mom and dad's weekend home. They would drive 2 hours from Brookline on a Friday afternoon. My father would watch movies and make spaghetti, and my mom would smoke cigarettes and read mystery novels and eat Stouffer's cream chip beef. If they went outside, they'd maybe look at some old junk for sale in barns, or go to that one falling-down hotel on the Mohawk Trail that served day drinks to the snowmobilers and had those sausages that we liked. And then they'd head home. My mom knew how to live.